Hey, what's up, everybody? Pat here, gratefully recovering alcoholic and addict, just like every day. Guys, please don't forget to subscribe, leave the video a like, and drop me a comment, and by all means, share it with anybody you think might get something out of it. Other than that, how we all doing today, guys? What a gorgeous day weather-wise today. I think 85, sunny. Yeah, I was indoors for most of it, but that's okay. Another busy day. Couple of service calls this morning, and then I went to try to finish. We're doing a finished basement for a friend of mine. Good day of work. I'm kind of settling back in, realizing I'm starting a complete bathroom remodel tomorrow. So super busy, and that's a good thing. Yeah, just it's taken me a couple of days to process everything that's going on, but I keep coming back to just seeing the beauty of it, the godsend of it all, and basically that's because I'm finally able to see the forest for the trees, and that just happens to be the title of the, it's actually the daily reflection from a couple weeks ago. I had written it out and found a different reading. It was more applicable at the time. Realized that this one really works well for the situation I've been going through. So we're going to do the reading. We'll talk about it, guys. Seeing the forest and the trees. What comes to us alone may be garbled by our own rationalization and wishful thinking. The benefit of talking to another person is that we can get his direct comment and counsel on our situation. I cannot count the times when I have been angry and frustrated and said to myself, I cannot see the forest for the trees. I finally realized that what I needed when I was in such pain was someone who could guide me in separating the forest and the trees. Someone who could suggest a better path to follow. Someone who could assist me in putting out fires. Someone who could help me avoid the rocks in the pitfalls. I ask God when I'm in the forest to give me the courage to call upon a recovery member. And guys, sorry, with the sun in my eyes, having a hard time reading. But basically, I did this one out. I had another reading to do because there was a slogan that for most of my life eluded me. I'm like, what do you mean you can't see the forest for the trees? And I get that now, guys. What it's saying is sometimes we get so hung up on the minutia, the small details, that we don't always see the big picture. And I see the difference of that today, guys, because at no other point in my life, sorry, the sun is driving me absolutely crazy. So I'm so close to the camera here, sorry. At no other point in my life would I be able to handle the situation that I'm going through and actually see it as the blessing that it is. At any other point, I'd be like, see, this is it. I'll never get out, I'll never get out of my own past and this and that. And that's not the case, guys. Every bit of this has come to light because it's exactly what I'm working on. And a big part of me being able to, a huge part of me being able to this, one of the most important factors when all this started last week when I got a call from the hearings officer. And what made me understand it was such a God shot was that I got that call as soon as I pulled up and I was walking into my home group, my meeting. So as it was highly unexpected and highly emotionally charged information, I was walking into my support group. So it was like I got to, and I'll tell you, at that point, as much as I was rationalizing it and trying to tell myself this will be okay, it's not the end of the world, the physical reaction was so strong in my body that I could not overcome it. And as I talked about, I was 50 feet away from some friends, and they're like, whoa, what's up with you? You look absolutely disgusted. And I'm like, and I just started getting out. And every one of them, to a man, was like, listen, look how far you've come. Look what you've done. You've got X, Y, and Z. And you're going to be okay. Now, nobody shut you down. There's just more steps. There's always more steps. Other friends chimed in, hey, I've been through this too. I'm going through this from a Colorado case, and every time I go there, you start over. And as I sat there and focused on my meeting, I just started processing. And then again, I left there and went to lunch with other friends in my recovery network and put it behind me, changed my outlook completely. I left the lunch last Friday absolutely thrilled because I realized I didn't need to continue dwelling on it, that I worked it out, I worked my program, and then I let it go. I accepted it. Acceptance is such a beautiful thing. When we can't accept something, we will sit there and I know, and I'm sure I'll keep it in the eye. I'll speak for myself. I would sit there and continue just bang my head over and over again, and I see so many other people do that today, and that you get stuck there because you're holding yourself there. Once we accept then we can start to figure out what our next moves are. But we have to accept the reality of what it is. So again, for myself, my first thought was, oh, I'm going to do my meeting and I'll fly to the first city to see if I can get this paperwork. And as I sat there and calmed myself, I'm like, I'm leaving my meeting at 1:30 in the afternoon. Courthouse is mostly closed at 3. I got an hour and a half minimum drive. I'm like, it would take every miracle in the world for me to get there on time. And as I know that, and I drive an hour and still have a half hour left and it's getting late, I'm going to start driving aggressively and getting irritated and put myself in danger. I'm like, that's crazy. No, there's no, the risk, the reward is not worth the risk. Not when I still have another courtroom to go to on Monday. So I'm like, it makes more sense to just take Monday off and do a loop of it. So boom, because I could sit back and I could see the forest for that, the trees in front of me, I was able to come up with a better plan. And then again, thank my higher power, man, makes everything. Thank God I did, because then I got out and Monday did a couple of things, and I went out and gave myself all day to handle these things, even though realistically they shouldn't have taken but a couple of hours. And I got thrown for that huge loop of all of a sudden I've got a 15-year-old active warrant. But because I was there plenty early, and yes, it was a little tough that I missed the first session. I had to wait 2 hours for the court to open back up. But that's okay, because that was another God trip, because I didn't have the emotionally charged, my emotions weren't roiling as I went in front of the judge. I had time to sit calm. I actually prayed, and I did a meditation, and I just processed. So by the time I walked into the courtroom, I was like calmed, and I had, my presence was about me. I wasn't frantic, and I wasn't like, looking in a crazy, wound up, guilty state. Instead, I was able to just the judge set the tone. He came up laughing, and he was commending me. Literally said the words, "I commend you, Mr. Kelly, for the ability to have a warrant open for 15 years and not having any interaction with law enforcement that would make this thing cause you an issue." He's like, that's pretty impressive. Obviously you haven't been running around being an idiot. And I said, "Thank you, Your Honor." I said, "No, in fact, I'm actually in recovery, and I'm down here picking up paperwork to put other wreckage behind me. And they told me this come up." I said, "I've been to many other places doing this work. I'm shocked it hasn't come up. But the second they told me it's here, boom, I asked, what can I do? Get me, what courtroom can I go to?" And the judge's like, "Well, good for you." And we had a very lighthearted proceeding with it, and he gave me another date, and he gave me time to get a lawyer, and let me, and then even the lawyer that was there was like, "Listen, this is going nowhere. Like, there's nothing to this. You just have to go through the motions as necessary." And I see that today. Like, I didn't let it throw me off. At no point in my day was it like, "Oh my God, the sky is falling. Like, I'm gonna get hemmed up. My old life is coming back to creep in." I'm like, no, it's something that was hiding out there, a pitfall waiting for me. And while I'm in the process of doing the proper work, I get to put this behind me. And now it gives me more information. So maybe, is there any other? There isn't. I've done the work, but it made me realize, I'm like, is there anywhere else that I could have a hidden pitfall? So let me look into other places. And unfortunately, I went through it and said, no, I've been to literally every courthouse I've ever had a case in. I've had to go and pick up that paperwork for the work I'm doing. So I know I'm okay. Because again, instead of just dealing with this one nasty tree that's going to fall on me, I'm sitting back and I'm looking at the forest saying, well, how many other dangerous trees are there? While I've got the chainsaw out, is there any other work I need to do? And that's a beautiful thing, because then not only do I know I put this to bed, but then I get to go home at the end of the day, and I'm talking about it with another person is so important, guys. This is why. Please understand, when I sit there and I promote recovery, obviously it's my life, but I recommend finding a support group, and I'm not even going to hold that until I'm not here promoting a particular, AA, NA, whatever. Find the one that works for you. I'm a member of both, and I'm a member of other things, Riverside Recovery, the OBAC Clinic. I've taken help from everywhere, and I interact, and I'm a member of these places everywhere because it's a love that I have for it. I like to give back everywhere I can. But anyway, before we go on a tangent, the reason it's so important to find a place that you're comfortable sharing and then listening. I don't go there just to teach, unload. No, I listen to what other members have done and what's worked for them, how they've reacted, what the result was, and then I see how I can apply it in my life. And I know I'm not alone, and not only do I know I'm not alone, and I'm not chronically unique, and I'm the only one that deals with life on life's terms, but I also get direct ideas. Well, this is what I did. This is what I had to look out for, and that was one of the beautiful things. My sponsor and I was, again, another God shot. Speaking with my sponsor, and things like, I was watching you go through it, and I was comparing to um, another sponsor of his situation. And he's like, and same thing you're going through now. There was a lot of hoops, and he's like, just be prepared for it. I'm not gonna down on you, and when things are going good, I'm not gonna say, oh, watch out, but just be aware. And I'm glad you're handling it the way you are. And he called and checked up on me and was glad my head was in a better place. I have support around me, and nobody's concerned because they know I'm gonna see this through. Because again, I'm able to sit back today and see the forest for the trees, and see that it's not anybody against me. This is literally all working for my highest good, because it is something I wasn't aware of. And I'm going to be sitting there going, oh, I put all this behind me. I'm fully reinstated. I've got nothing to worry about. I've got full freedom. And then having that out there someday could jam me up in any of a number of ways. Going to a wedding in Rhode Island, and I get, pulled over and boom, locked up and miss the event, or, whatever, a recovery meeting where I'm going to be a speaker, or any of a number of important things I could be held up on. Never mind the fact that, guys, if any of you have ever dealt with the legal system, it is such a gigantic difference when you walk into the front door of a courtroom and say, hey, I'm sorry, I found out I've got an issue, I've got a warrant, I'm here to turn myself in, I'm here to handle it, as opposed to being brought up by a court guard in handcuffs because you were caught somewhere. Now they caught you. You can't say, oh, I'm here to take care of it. The minute I found out about it, I took care of it. And then as soon, again, yes, I had the anxiety, I started to sweat, I had the nerves, and then but again, recovery has taught me to pause and think things through without having to overreact. And I was able to arrest those running wild emotions immediately by centering myself. And my best way to do that is I stop and I talk to God. So I said a prayer, and I'm like, God, what do we got going on here? I know, I trust you. I know you led me here for a reason. And I literally just talked myself through it. And I'm like, immediately got my answer. I'm like, yes, God, I've asked you to guide me and help me put all of this to bed. And there's the one thing I was not aware of. You brought me right to it. And I'm like, oh my God, thank you. Like, I immediately, like, I felt blessed for that having come up. Because again, at the end of the day, it's not new. It's been hanging over my head for 15 years. And I didn't even know it was there. And it would have continued to hang over my head. But God brought me right to where I needed to be. When my mind is focused on that, when I've got the resources for the lawyer, when I've got all my paperwork to prove readily at hand everything I've done, like, this couldn't have come in a better situation. And I see that today, and that makes such a difference, because then I come home and I'm like, no, I'm not concerned about anything. I know I'm not guilty of the case. I know I'm going to beat it. Never mind that they in 15 years, they never came up with any paperwork. They never sent it out. Nobody ever looked at this and said, oh, well, we got to put this in the pen. We got to get this guy. He did this. And that's why it was waiting to be arraigned, because everybody that's ever looked at it didn't put it through any further, because it's a nothing case. Like, they would never come after me if I didn't go and turn my, if I didn't happen to be in that building and be told I had it, because it's nothing to worry about. And again, so now what do? Well, now I get to gain the proper experience saying, well, this is how we deal with a legal situation. We go when we're required. I will now show up appropriately dressed. And that was one thing I apologized to the judge. I'm like, Ron, I'm so sorry, I'm in sweatpants. I came down here to pick up paperwork. I didn't know I was going to be in a courtroom. And he said, no, Mr. Kelly, I appreciate you turning yourself in. Like, it was... And I see those things today, guys. And that's another side note. Like, if you got legal issues, and I'm the first to be guilty of this, so please, I'm not calling anybody out, but I'm just saying something I've learned by doing so much research for videos. Show up appropriately dressed. It shows respect for the court. It shows you're taking it seriously. And I will do so. Now, I may not even have to show up, because they told me when I have a lawyer being out of state, I may not even have to be there for the case. We shall see. But I can tell you this much: if I'm required to be there, I will show up there in proper attire, cleaned up, fresh, whatever, just looking like I respect the process, because today I do. And I'm able to say that, and I love being able to say that, because it's not the person I was in addiction. And I'm okay with that, because again, that just shows me That's back when I couldn't see the forest for the trees, and that's how I lived my whole life. I was always putting out one fire. That's what I mean by this, guys. When I was living that reactionary life, I was constantly just dealing with the crap that I did the day before, trying to get through the day so I could start the nonsense all over again tomorrow. That is not being able to see the forest for the trees. Today, I'm sitting back and I'm saving money and I'm building relationships and I'm getting insurance packages, building my business, promoting my brand, picking up new customers, figuring out how to manage people, figuring out better ways to manage my time so I can be more efficient and I can take on more work and I can take on bigger work. That is what I mean by seeing the forest for the trees. Because as much as my job is demanding and my business is demanding and a lot of people are calling, there are times I just say no. I'm like, no, I've got things I need to do for the next project coming up. I've already told a couple of people this week that have called, and I'm like, nope, I can't. If it's an emergency, let me know. I'll consider. But if it's just stuff you want done, you've got to give me. I can't schedule for the next 2 weeks because I've just taken on a huge bathroom remodel that I'm doing the entire job start to finish, gutting the old, reframing the new, getting rid of the tub, building a custom shower stall, and doing it from stud to finish. And I'm excited for that. It's the first one. I mean, I've done many of these, but this is the first one when I've been in charge and nobody else is coming in unless I've got a laborer coming to work for me. And I want this to come out really, really well because this will be a piece that I can use to promote myself and show, listen, this is the work I've done. And so it's very important that way. And I see what that's going to lead to. That could lead to so many more. I've got so many other customers that want bathroom remodels done. And the idea that they can have one person do it start to finish, which means you're not scheduling, you're not coordinating 3 or 4 different contractors, you're not worried about one not showing up right and then throwing the other 2 off. And that is a huge concern when you're doing construction projects, because everybody has to be integrated and lined up at the same time. If one doesn't finish on time for some sort of hold up, now it throws everybody out of whack, and then this guy can't come back for a month, and then all of a sudden a 1 month job stretches out 3 or 4 months, and I see it happen constantly. And that's where people get so incredibly frustrated with contractors because of those things. So when you can have one person come in and do the job start to finish and get it done in the time frame they bid, not only do you save money because I'm able to, not have to charge overlapping labor, but it makes it an easy, smooth process for them, and they're more apt to promote you, and you're going to get more work. And I see that today. I see how my reactions to things, when I was so busy chasing drugs that my whole mind was focused on that. I wasn't building relationships. I was doing the bare minimum to get in and out. I was asking for money up front, so I wasn't saving money. I was trying to, that's the other thing, guys. I had 2 people say to me today, because they're friends and family with my buddy Doug, that he's let them know that he's actively seeking the next project for us, and both of them are making jokes like, wow, and not really jokes, but they're just commending me. Look how far you've come. I hear through the grapevine that you're about to be a property owner here. And they're like, good for you. Like, what a turnaround. Again, that's only happened because I can see the forest through the trees. I can see the big picture. My limited thinking wouldn't have allowed any of this. But even from day one, not knowing what the steps are going to be, I said in these videos, like, I don't know where God's going to bring me. But the only thing I'm getting from God, the message I'm getting in meditation, is just do everything like it's super important. Because though I don't know what the outcome and I don't know what the next steps are going to be, God has a plan for me. And it's much bigger. And the reason I don't know the plan yet, because it's so much bigger that I'd shut down if I knew the scope of it. And then I look back and I'm like, I was offered an opportunity to plumb a construction project a year ago, and I knew it was way over my head. I wasn't ready for it, and I was concerned. Now, but again, because I realized that, I was ready to shut it down, but the job didn't go through, and I started working on the ability to be able to do that. People, resources, experience, learning how to read plans, getting insurance, because you could have comp and you could have liability. So I started getting these policies together so I wouldn't be blindsided. And then boom, sure enough, here we are a year later, and I'm starting one in the next couple of weeks. And that's a beautiful thing, guys, because I can see the forest for the trees. So I take leaps of faith that make sense to where I believe I'm heading, and I pay attention every day and just accept what happens that is for my highest good. And if it's not, it's because I wasn't doing something to the best of my ability, and I need to pick up the slack and do better next. Like, it's amazing, guys. It requires a lot of letting go of victim mentality and blaming others. And again, other people do things that are, that I'd be harping on. But every time I expend a piece of energy focusing on what somebody else is doing or not doing, it takes away from my ability to focus on what I'm doing and what I want to be doing. And that's very important. Again, that's what I mean by seeing the forest through the trees. Guys, that's a video for today. Thank you so much for being here with me. Always remember, God loves you. I love you. We'll see you in the next one.